Good evening, folks. Thank you all for being here. My name is Cara Romano. I'm the Executive Director of Heart of Ellsworth. This is Heart of Ellsworth's 7th annual Meet the Candidates event. This nonpartisan production aims to provide an educational platform for voting residents of Ellsworth. Events like these raise awareness of our local issues and connect community members to participate in our local democracy. They allow us to learn about each of the candidates, what they stand for, and why they might represent us. Every candidate running for a seat on the Ellsworth City Council has been invited to participate in this event this evening. Thank you all for being here this evening and taking time out of your busy lives to work with the community and to talk about your reasons why you're running. This evening is an opportunity to strengthen civil political discourse in our community. These city council positions, like all municipal positions, are nonpartisan. Small towns and cities are places where everyone can enter the political arena to make a difference in their communities. During this time in American politics, events like these are an excellent way to strengthen the democracy process, build trust in public institutions, and allow citizens to start to make the changes they want to see in their towns. As Ellsworth residents, it's your individual privilege and responsibility to participate in our local municipal democracy, ensuring greater community engagement and guiding future governance of our city. Tonight, it is also our responsibility for each of us to remain respectful of each other, to not only listen thoughtfully, but also to try to remain open to others' points of view. We must trust that though they may have different views, each candidate wants what's best for our city. The opinions expressed during this event are those of the candidates. They do not reflect the opinions or views of the Ellsworth American, the Heart of Ellsworth, or the City of Ellsworth. Rather, each of these entities serves merely to provide a platform to get to know these candidates as a democratic service to our community. Thank you all for your time. Heart of Ellsworth would also like to thank a few folks who have helped us again this year put this event on. We want to thank you to our longtime partner, the Ellsworth American, and tonight's moderator, Cindy Wood. Without the Ellsworth American, this would not be possible. We also want to thank the Grand Theater, Executive Director Nick Turner, Kim Fitch, and Peter Miller. We also want to thank the Ellsworth City IT Department, Jason Ingalls and Nate Burkhart. Thank you to Jen Berry, who is a data specialist at the Ellsworth School Department, and Jamie Anderson, who is the multimedia design instructor at Hancock County Technical Center. They both have volunteered their time to help us with the live broadcast this evening. And also a huge thank you to the Heart of Ellsworth board members and community members, Peter Leone, who decorated the stage, Austin Shriver and Eleanor Jones for organizing the countdown for each of the candidates' questions. They each have 3 minutes to answer each question. I also want to thank Colleen Ross, who is helping us synthesize all of the audience questions, as well as Beth Fendel and Janice Buckingham, who are working to greet all of our guests this evening. I also want to thank our program coordinator, Zabette New Collins, who's been tirelessly organizing this event sort of behind the scenes and really getting to know how each of the community members and the candidates get to know how we organize this event each year. I also want to thank, again, all of you for coming out and spending your evening with us, and for the folks who are attending at home, also for kind of watching these videos all the time. We have, every year we go through, and at the beginning when it goes up, and then throughout the year we check on the numbers, and people do really watch this even after the event is over and votes have been cast. So really want to thank everybody for being here this evening. Without further ado, I'm going to invite Cindy Wood, the managing editor of the Ellsworth American, to the stage. She will be tonight's moderator. Thank you all.
Hi everyone, thank you for coming. I second all of Cara's thanks, and also to the Heart of Ellsworth. I'm going to lay out the ground rules for today. It's not a debate. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to make an introductory statement. Then we'll launch into the 3 prepared questions. Please hold your applause to the end of the night. It'll make things go quicker and we can squeeze in more of your questions that way. Each of the questions, the candidates will have 2 minutes to answer. Some lovely folks helping with a timer. You'll get cut off at the allotted time, and that's for reasons of fairness, and again, to allow us to get in as many questions as possible. I will alternate the order in which the candidates speak, so nobody has to go first every time or last every time. After the 3 questions the candidates received in advance, we'll launch into questions from the public. Some questions were submitted in advance by email, and you may also submit them tonight using the provided note cards. And there'll be some folks coming around to collect those. All right, without further ado, we'll do introductions. John, do you want to get us started?
I'm John Linehan. I've lived here in Ellsworth all my life, was born here in town, and I'm a Christian. I'm a follower of Jesus in my life. I'm an original intent constitutional follower, and I'm also an America First, Maine First, and #1 for tonight, Ellsworth First patriot. I'm running for the Ellsworth City Council because I'm concerned about the direction I think our city is headed in. I believe we had a great city years ago, and I don't think we're not in such a great position nowadays. I think there's some areas we need to address, which we'll cover later on in the questions like that, but I'm very concerned about it. And so I'm not afraid to be out in public and to share my opinion and to be passionate about what I believe in like that. I think it's time for people in the city of Ellsworth to step back a little bit and look back to where we've come from. I believe we can learn a lot from our history. And I think we did have a very, very good city growing up that I'm privileged to be born in and brought up in. And I think we've kind of lost that direction a little bit. I think government at all levels has had that same situation. I think our country, our state, and our city is kind of headed in the wrong direction. So I believe everything starts locally. So I'm interested in becoming involved with our city council here in this town. I attend regularly to city council meetings. I look over the financial statements, and I think we've got some serious financial problems that need to be corrected. I have a business background, a strong financial background, and I think I can be an asset to the city council in that area. So I'm appreciative to be here tonight. I wish all the panelists good luck, and may the best person be elected to city council. I want what's best for Ellsworth. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Rob, your opening statement.
Good evening. My name is Rob McKenney, and I'm running for Ellsworth City Council because I believe we need to tackle some pressing issues in our community with fresh ideas and fiscal responsibility. One of my primary concerns is our taxes. I believe we can find innovative ways to increase revenue for the city without raising taxes on our citizens. We should explore smart development and business partnerships that generate growth while keeping Ellsworth affordable. By focusing on strategic investments in cutting waste, we can maintain our essential services and infrastructure while reducing the financial strain on our taxpayers. Another crucial issue is homelessness and the drug problem in our city. These are complex challenges that require compassionate but firm response. We need to provide support for those struggling with addiction and homelessness while also ensuring the safety and well-being of our entire community. This means collaborating with some state and local agencies, expanding treatment options, and finding long-term solutions that address the root causes of these issues. I'm committed to making Ellsworth continue to be a place where families thrive, businesses succeed, and our values are upheld. Thank you for your support, and I look forward to working together to build a brighter future for Ellsworth.
Thank you. Steve, your introduction.
Hello, my name is Steve O'Halloran. I'm a 60-year resident. I've lived on the same property I was born on. 3 years ago, I stood on this stage and was given an opportunity to run for council and was elected. I ran into some interesting times immediately. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but I'm very thankful for the process, and I'm thankful for the education that I have received sitting on the council. I think as we move forward, obviously we have many challenges, and we need to work for those challenges. The taxes are a big thing here in our city. The last 2 years they have increased substantially, but we're growing. There's plenty of items that need to be addressed. I've enjoyed the process. I do not have an agenda. I have an interest in the city of Ellsworth.
Cale, your opening statement.
Good evening. My name is Cale Roberts. I am not locally from Ellsworth. I moved my family here 12 years ago from Stonington, where I met my wife. We grew up there, and I actually moved from Gloucester, Massachusetts. So I am not a Mainer, but I love Maine. But we moved 12 years ago to Ellsworth because it gave not only my wife and I more opportunities for our careers. I actually moved here unemployed, and my wife was a stay-at-home mom. So we moved here to give our kids opportunities with the school system, to get them better education, and we knew Ellsworth offered a vast opportunities for them. And they each have their own will, and they grow. I have 2 adults and 2 still in the school system. So the school system is very important to me. And I believe in faith, family, business. So I am running because I just feel that I have a heart for Ellsworth, a heart for the people. I also worked for the city for 7 years, so I do know government, and I can hopefully help people understand a little bit more to it, because I know it's very confusing. I was very confused when I went to the assessment for the very first time. So I hope I can, if I get elected, I can be a little bit more of a mediator from not only a local work class, but also some government background. Thank you.
Thank you. Tabitha, why are you running?
Hi, my name is Tabitha White. I'm running for a seat for the Ellsworth City Council because I believe in the potential of our community. I was born and raised here in Ellsworth, and after spending times in cities like Boston and New York, I returned in 2016 with a renewed appreciation for our town. There is no place that's more beautiful. I believe this community is where families can thrive, where we can grow our local economy, and where we can protect the natural environment that makes Ellsworth so special. For over 15 years, I've worked as a certified arborist and urban forestry advocate, procuring, managing, and planting over 35,000 trees in communities to improve green spaces and to increase environmental resilience. Locally, I've been an active volunteer since early days as a Girl Scout. I've worked with organizations like the Ellsworth Garden Club, Great Pond Mountain Conservation Trust, Green Ellsworth, Heart of Ellsworth, and now as the chair of the Ellsworth Arbor Commission. With patience and determination, longtime resident and volunteer Mary Blackstone and I spent 6 years advocating for the activation of the Ellsworth Arbor Commission. In August of last year, we finally succeeded in getting the first 9 members appointed since the ordinance was established in 1991. And with just 1 year under our belts, we're proud to announce we've already secured $193,000 in grant funding for tree planting and urban forestry projects, a big win for Ellsworth's green spaces. So I share all of this to emphasize my deep commitment to our community where I live and to demonstrate my willingness to fight for what I believe will benefit Ellsworth. When I believe in something, I don't give up, I persist, because I know that's what our community deserves. Now I want to bring that same commitment, perseverance, and vision to Ellsworth City Council. My focus is on smart growth that protects our natural resources. I will stop now.
Our first question of the night is, what are the greatest challenges facing Ellsworth, and how would you address them? Cale, do you want to start that one?
Challenges facing Ellsworth is communication. How do we communicate to the city citizens well? And I know we have workshops and we have all kinds of times to come out and vote, but we need more community involvement. I think that's a big challenge to see for me personally. And like I said, this is my first time doing this. I'm not a politician, I don't really know, but I do know that communication is key. And if you don't come out to listen, and I'm also one to listen and communicate for you. So I'm here to listen, here to learn and grow alongside you guys in this journey.
Thank you. John, what are the greatest challenges facing Ellsworth?
Thank you. I think there's three major challenges in Ellsworth. Number one is excessive property taxes. Number two is excessive property taxes. Number three is excessive property taxes. It all comes from a misappropriation and prioritizing of spending in the city of Ellsworth. I believe our council as a group has done a poor job evaluating the needs in that community and the spending process. I'm a firm believer that your spending is your ending. And just like as an individual, we watch our own checkbooks and live within our incomes that we come in, I don't think the city of Ellsworth has done that. So I'm for reducing the city property taxes here in the city of Ellsworth. We do it by two ways. We do it by expanding the city's financial base, but we also do it by cutting expenses. I believe one of the major problems at every level of government, including the city of Ellsworth, is it was intended to be limited government, but it's not limited government. Government has grown too big. We have too many employees. I just got a copy, well, this was an older one now. There's approximately 140 full and part-time employees in the city of Ellsworth. And I looked at an assistant for this, assistant for that. I believe we have too many employees in the city of Ellsworth. And I believe we need to get back to limited government, more accountability, and prioritize the spending. Our roads are horrible. And I believe we need to spend more on our roads and less in other areas. We can't increase our total budget because the spending would go up and the taxes would go up. We must make Ellsworth affordable again. I'll call it make America affordable again, or make Ellsworth affordable again, also make it great again. And to me, it's all about economics. People are living paycheck to paycheck, they're struggling financially, and I think a big portion of it is due to the property taxes and the expenses in the city of Ellsworth. Thank you very much.
Rob, what are the greatest challenges facing Ellsworth and how would you address them?
Well, I was going to talk about taxes, but I think we just covered that, so I think I'll move on to something else. Homelessness and drugs in our town. I'm not a politician. I'm new to this. I'm learning as I go. If I am elected, I want to really dig in and see how bad the problem is, because I see it. You know, I see the homelessness. I see people in our town, you know, that are visibly on drugs. You know, last year we lost a girl to an overdose in our high school, and I think that, you know, I really want to dig in and find out how we make this better as a community, because I think we can do better. I think we could also take a close look at our tax spending. But thank you.
Thank you. Tabitha, what are the greatest challenges facing Ellsworth?
There we go. Ellsworth is facing several major challenges, including affordable housing, outdated infrastructure, heavy traffic, and rising taxes. The current City Council has done well in committing to addressing many of our infrastructure issues rather than deferring them to future councils, and I commend them for this difficult but important step. However, traffic congestion remains a major issue, particularly during our busy tourist season and during the early morning school rush. To my knowledge, Ellsworth has never hired a traffic engineer to specifically address the timing of our traffic lights in the downtown core. By making strategic adjustments to the timing of lights on Water Street, Main Street, and High Street, especially during peak hours and school drop-offs, we could significantly reduce congestion and improve traffic flow. This is a practical and cost-effective step that could immediately make a difference. In terms of taxes, the city has historically been resistant to working more closely with local nonprofits, which I believe is a missed opportunity. These organizations are often able to secure funds and grants and funding, usually not available to the city, that could help offset the financial burden of our taxpayers. As a longtime volunteer with several local nonprofits, I've worked hard to convince the city to leverage the resources and volunteers that are willing to step up. By fostering stronger partnerships with these groups, we can alleviate some of the tax burden while improving services and community engagement. Addressing these challenges will require creative problem-solving, collaboration, and the willingness to try new approaches. If elected, I'm committed to working with the council and the community to make sure that Ellsworth continues to be a great place to live and work and raise a family.
Steve, same question. Greatest challenges?
I think one of the biggest challenges that we have here in Ellsworth is the financial piece. Once we could get the financial piece in a fair working order, I think the rest would fall into place. It's not all about the money, but we have more needs than money. We have more wants than money. We have more wishes than money. And we've got everybody contributing to the city, and their costs continue to go up. We need more people putting money in the coffers. I believe we need to lower the barrier for new business to come into town, to fill the fields at Walmart, and businesses can afford to pay much more taxes than Mr. and Mrs. Ellsworth can. And I think it's important that we start thinking about getting more people to contribute to the cost of running the city, not less. We all know our taxes have bumped up substantially in the last couple of years. There's been some big increases. We need more people to contribute to that. And I think businesses can pay a large portion of the wishes, wants, and needs. And maybe along the wishes, wants, and needs, I think we need to prioritize some of that. What do we need? What do we want? What do we wish we had? And getting more people to put into the coffers is key.
All right, our next question. What is your vision for Ellsworth's future, and what will be the council's role in trying to make it happen? Tabitha.
My vision for Ellsworth is one where we preserve and protect our green spaces while also fostering smart and thoughtful development. It's crucial as our city grows, we don't lose sight of its natural beauty and environmental resources that make Ellsworth such a special place to live. Striking the right balance between development and conservation is key to ensuring a sustainable and vibrant community for future generations. Another part of my vision is for the city to embrace greater collaboration with our local nonprofits and private businesses. By leveraging these partnerships, we can reduce the financial burden to our residents and business owners. This is something many other cities and even the federal agencies do successfully. Ellsworth has a wealth of talented individuals and organizations who are eager to contribute. And by working together, we can secure grants, build public-private partnerships, and share resources in a way that benefits everyone. Ultimately, I want to see Ellsworth become a place where people of all ages, from children to our seniors, can thrive and afford to live. This means ensuring access to affordable housing, quality services, and safe, inviting spaces for recreation and community building. The City Council's role in making this vision a reality will be to take a more proactive approach to governance. Instead of waiting for challenges to become crises, we need to plan ahead, engage with the community, and seek innovative solutions. We have an incredible opportunity to shape the future of Ellsworth in a way that benefits all of us. And if I'm elected, I'm committed to working with my fellow councilors to ensure that our decisions reflect the best interests to our entire community.
Thank you. Rob, your vision for Ellsworth's future.
Well, Steve brought up a good point about the Beckwith Hill, which is where Walmart and Home Depot are located, and they pay a tremendous amount of tax. And the reason they're there is they could afford to pay the impact fees to be there. And some of you may not know what those impact fees are, but Walmart was probably hundreds of thousands of dollars to repay the town of Ellsworth for the infrastructure that's in the ground. Their water, their sewer. So if I want to take my small business and put it on the hill, I probably don't have the money to go up there. So I think it would make more sense that property's been up there for 20-some years with just 2 tenants. And I think that we may want to look at that differently, because as soon as somebody comes, they're paying taxes. But if they can't afford to come, there are no taxes. So I think that could be looked at differently. And then as far as residential construction, we're in dire need of construction and more houses. So I have people come to me because I sell real estate, and they say it's very difficult, the process of getting your building permits in line with the town of Ellsworth. I haven't experienced this, but I think we could go further than that and give incentives for people to build, for homeowners to build, for builders incentives to build, and cut some red tape, because we need more housing. And also, I'd like us all come together and come up with more ideas to increase our tax base. Blue Hill has a fair, Bangor has a fair. We don't have a fair. We're a big town. And millions of people are on the way to Bar Harbor. If we had a fair, it would be successful and it would generate more income. That's just one quick idea. But there's lots of ways for us to make more money so the taxpayer can stop footing the whole bill. Thank you.
Steve, your vision for Ellsworth's future.
Mr. McKinney just took my notes. So I'll just touch on a few of them. My vision is pretty straightforward. Lowering the cost of entry is basically what Rob just said. And I think that's very, very important. Bring the cost of entry down. This impact fee is foolishness. If it worked, then Walmart Hill would be full, but it's not full. It's empty. It's fields, and there's a reason it's fields. I stood here 3 years ago and said the same thing. The impact fees. The infrastructure's already in the ground. We're paying on it now. Let's bring in some thoughts to drop those impact fees. It's only in a part of the town. It's not even in the whole town. I think an ambassador at City Hall to welcome people and walk them through the process and lower the barriers would be incredibly important. We don't have that. We have something called economic development, but we don't have an ambassador that can walk people through the process. The process is intimidating. It's probably their way everywhere, but it is an intimidating process. To give you a personal example, I bought a piece of property last year on the Bangor Road, and I went to City Hall to get a permit to build a parking lot. A parking lot. The permit was $3,200.
That's time. Sorry. So I could catch up with Steve for the end of that story. Cale, your vision for Ellsworth's future.
So what I would like to see is, which Tabitha's touched on it, and so has McKinney. So affordable housing is definitely a key for Ellsworth. We see Ellsworth do low-income housing well, which I was a part of that when I moved to Ellsworth, which has helped me grow and get on my feet. I'm grateful for that. But as I've grown with my family and have matured in my career, my wife, middle class struggles trying to get housing. It's very hard. Then we got the high-end housing, which is out of a lot of our reaches. So I think Ellsworth needs more affordable middle-class housing to help families and young adults. I have 2 adult kids that's still in my house, which I'm grateful for because I want them to get on their feet. But they can't go out on their own right now because there is no way they could afford a rent or a house. Secondly, I'd like to see more parks, recreation for Ellsworth. We don't have a Parks and Rec department. We need one. And I believe that would bring way more to the city if we could have more for the families, from toddlers. There is no age. We want something for everybody in Ellsworth, and that's why with my heart. Thirdly, I would like to see, almost like what McKinney was saying, I want to see a community event. Something that brings the community together. We have Autumn Gold, which I love, but something that we can host at the park with vendors, games, maybe local musicians, and then we can also maybe have some type of donations that will go towards any of these. And as a council member, I would love to just brainstorm with local councilors as to how to do so, if elected. Thank you.
John, your vision for Ellsworth's future.
Thank you. Yes, my vision for Ellsworth is very simple. Reduce Ellsworth property taxes. We need to make Ellsworth affordable again. As on the council, I think it all starts there. They need to take a less aggressive role as far as government. Government is supposed to be limited, not expansive like we have here in the city of Ellsworth. If you want to have this city grow, you need to make it business friendly. Steve's illustration of having a huge bill to just put a parking lot in is a perfect example of how unfriendly Ellsworth is for businesses. Businesses generate income, generate taxes, it would help it. I'll use the beautiful development, Stone Park, that just put in across from Pat's Pizza out here. Approximate values, I went to the tax assessor, approximately $7 million. Tax is about $120,000 on that property. That's a new $120,000 coming into the city of Ellsworth. Instead of spending it and increasing our spending, we need to reduce the expenditures we have by that money coming in and pay that money back to the taxpayers by reducing their taxes. There's more income coming in, but don't spend it. Let's give it back to the taxpayers. On the 2023 annual report, and I'm looking at a note just because I want to get this correct, page 143 says there's significant deficiencies in the finances in the city of Ellsworth. That's the audited report. Other than Steve O'Halloran at the city meetings, the council meetings I go to, nobody even brings up anything about the finances. And we need to. We need more people on the council that understand the finances, can reduce our taxes, and increase the productivity in our community. That's what I want to do, and that's my vision for the city of Ellsworth. Less government, less taxes, and more development down the road. Thank you very much.
Several of the candidates have already touched on this issue, but we'll dive into a directed question, and that is Ellsworth in a housing crisis? If so, how should city government address the problem? Steve, do you want to start that one?
I'm not sure that I would call it a housing crisis. I know we have a financial crisis, but there is a huge housing shortage. And I think all towns are experiencing that, not just Ellsworth. I think we missed an opportunity when the city received $880,000 in ARPA funds. Part of that money could have been, all of that money could have been a small development park to make Ellsworth more attractive to build new housing. Housing and jobs, it's hand in hand, commercial development and housing. How do I think we should address it? Again, it's a shortage, there's a huge demand, prices are crazy. To Cale's point, you can't, young people can't afford to buy a house. We need to make the entry less expensive for the developers. Less expensive, lower the bar, stop the impact fee stuff, and build housing that people could afford. There's a major tiny house urge going on throughout the country. Ellsworth could be part of that. We don't have to have all $500,000 houses. If we could have houses that people could start with $225,000, boy, that would be some nice. There'd be a lot of people that could actually afford to come here. Again, you've got to have the business development to have the houses, and you've got to lower the bar to do any of it. Stop.
Ellsworth's in a housing crisis, but I disagree with the reason why people say it is. I believe the problem is too much government involvement. I'm a free enterprise, a capitalist person. I believe that businesses will best provide the answer. We have too much government involved, and it increases the cost, increases the regulations, makes it unfriendly for businesses to invest here, and too expensive. So we need to, again, limit our government and get those expenses back down, make it easier for free enterprise, for business people to come in without excessive regulation, that can make a profit, can set up a good business, and set up a good housing development here. I believe when we have too much Section 8 housing and that type of government, that's not city, but that's just part of the problem, is we rely on the federal government, we rely on the state, instead of being independent and run it from a local perspective. And if somebody says, well, there's mandates coming down, so we need to get rid of the mandates. We have constitutional rights as individuals, we have constitutional rights as a city to not have those mandates put on us that increases the cost, increases housing problems, and makes it harder for people to get into housing, whether it's to buy or to rent. So I propose to reduce the city property taxes at all levels from every person, make it more affordable for businesses to come in, for private individuals to do it, take the onus off of government to have housing like that, and let the free market take care of itself. For 250 years in this country, free market has worked fine. The further away we get from that, the more towards a socialistic, communistic venue on setting that stuff up, the tougher it gets for people to get housing. And so I'm opposed to that, and I think we should do it, and it all gets back to starting with lower taxes, make it affordable for all of us to live here, and then let's turn the businesses loose to do their own thing without excessive government intervention. Thank you.
Tabitha, is Ellsworth in a housing?
As we all know, the demand for housing has increased significantly, and it's essential that we approach this issue with careful consideration. With new housing developments are proposed, I believe it's crucial to weigh all factors: traffic impact, conservation of our land and water resources, availability, affordability for residents, and how these developments fit in the overall character of Ellsworth. We need to ensure that we're building a sustainable future, not just a short-term solution. But lack of housing doesn't just affect our residents, it affects our local businesses too. When we don't have enough affordable housing for workforce, local businesses suffer. Employers struggle to find staff, which in turn affects their ability to serve the community and grow. Addressing this issue isn't just about providing homes, it's about keeping our local economy strong and thriving. In addition to focusing on smart development, I'm committing to staying informed about creative opportunities that could benefit our area. For example, just this week, Maine Senator Angus King has introduced the Farmhouse to Workforce Housing Act, which could provide rural property owners with 2 grants of up to $100,000 each to build rental housing. If passed, this could be a fantastic program for Ellsworth and surrounding areas, especially in helping to ease the housing shortage. If elected, I will work to ensure Ellsworth is prepared to take advantage of this and similar programs by reaching out to local landowners who would qualify. We need to think outside of the box when it comes to housing solutions, and I'm ready to collaborate with state and local partners to make sure that we're addressing this issue in a sustainable and forward-thinking way.
Kale, is Ellsworth in a housing crisis?
Yes, I believe we're in a housing crisis only because of like I said before, not having enough affordable housing. I think I think housing across the board, low income, middle class, or high class, it doesn't matter where you're at. We all need someplace to live. And I believe Ellsworth is lacking in that area, and I believe we need to take opportunities like what Tabitha was saying, and get some more involvement with. I believe if I was elected, we could maybe have some more workshops, and we can brainstorm and come together on a local level to see what we can do. Maybe find lands that are available, and be able to get that building and developed for some more affordable housing.
Rob, is Ellsworth in a housing crisis?
Yes, I do believe Ellsworth is in a housing crisis, and it's really America is in a housing crisis. Before COVID, you could buy a ranch or a small cape, small ranch or cape in Ellsworth, for $175,000, $200,000. Those same homes now are $350,000 to $425,000, same exact house. So, and how did that happen? Well, everybody in the world decided to come to Maine during that time. They bought up all the inventory. Millinocket, all over the state, they bought all these houses. I think those will slowly come back on the market because they're not going there because the pandemic is over. So I think that there's going to be a trickle of inventory coming back on the market, which will help us all. But I think on on our level, what we can do to help as a town is we got to get innovative and maybe say, hey, Ellsworth, advertise free building permits for the next year. I don't know how much gravel we get out there. We have a lot of gravel. Maybe we say we're going to donate the first 15 yards of gravel for the new homeowners. But those little breaks might push them over the edge to build, and then it increases our tax base and creates more housing. So I think we can come up with lots of ideas to incentivize, to bring more people to our community. I mean, we see ads all the time. You're at home and it says, come to Naples, Florida and spend your money on vacation. We could advertise how wonderful this community is, because it is. It's a great place to live. So we need some more taxpayers so you guys don't have to pay it all. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you. This one is their first submitted question. It came in via email. It's for those of you running on a platform of cutting taxes, what specific areas of the city budget are you proposing to cut? And I think specific is their keyword that they were going for there. Cale, do you want to start that one?
I'm not really running specifically to cut taxes, but I do believe the taxes are high. And I'm not really sure. What was the question again?
For those of you running on a platform of cutting taxes, what specific areas of the city budget are you proposing to cut?
To be honest with you, I'm not planning on cutting anything at this point. I'd have to look more into it.
Rob, same question.
Well, that's a good question. Since we're all talking about, taxes are too high, certainly there's going to be some cutting. So I haven't studied our budget. I hear people like you talk to me every day about how high the taxes are. So my plan is to dig in, see where all the spending is, and see what makes sense to cut. Because there's certain things that can't be cut, but I'm sure there's waste. My people tell me every day about the waste. So I'm going to dig in, roll up my sleeves, and see if we can save us some money.
John, same question.
I made a pledge that if elected to city council, I would vote no on any even potential increase to any individual's taxes. And it comes by watching the expenses. Your spending does determine your ending. So yes, I'd like to see more businesses come to town. I'd like to see more income. We need to look at our expense structure. The biggest portion of the city of Ellsworth is employment. We've got roughly, I think I checked it, I counted, it was several months old what I looked at, because I couldn't get the current one. I tried to get it, and I have to take time to get it from the office there, but there was approximately 140 employees in the city of Ellsworth. I looked through several departments on there, and for my vote, I could see reducing the city of Ellsworth's employment by approximately 10 to 15%. And that adds up when you look at the benefits, the salaries, everything's about there. There may be one or two departments, at least one department, that I would consider eliminating that department because I don't think we need it in the city of Ellsworth. Which one? I would think the planning department would be on my list. We have code enforcement, we have a planning board, and I believe it's where the planning department we have in the city of Ellsworth should be done by the developer himself. I think we're just providing a $200,000 or $300,000 assistance to people coming in to develop property here that they don't need. I think it creates extra regulation like that, and I don't think that's an area that the city of Ellsworth needs anybody in planning. They have to go, if I'm a developer and I'm coming in here, I have to go to code enforcement, I have to go through the planning board. It should be my responsibility, not the city's, to give me a project director, and that's what I think our planning committee's turned into. So that would be a department that I would eliminate, as well as other personnel things from there. I also looked, and there was a huge amount of overtime on the paychecks in the city of Ellsworth. If we have as much overhead as I looked at, I didn't total it up, we should have more full-time employees, but less getting paid overtime, so our net costs would go down for our
That's
city
time.
employees.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Just as a note, if you have a question from the audience, use your note cards. Steve, what specific of the areas of the city budget are you proposing to cut if you're running on cutting taxes?
I would say that I am not excited about hacking and whacking up budgets right out of the gate. What I would say is that the increases need to stop. They need to be controlled. We need more money and less cost. So, for example, something that I think that could be looked at is the city. Everybody has new pickup trucks driving around Ellsworth. And I'm not sure that we all need new pickup trucks to drive around Ellsworth in. There are several areas that could be tweaked very easily. There's plenty of things that could be cut, and to be specific, I would say all departments could use some trimming. I think that there's some fat in all of them. When I was elected, I was shocked that all of these budgets had been creeping up over the years, while the council had been continually pounding down the library. They were running at an 8-year-old budget. I was very upset by that. And Casey Hansen joined me in that. And the first year we were on the council, we voted against the budget because everyone was pushing the library down while everyone else's budget was going up. So they've been living very frugally. And everyone else's budget has continued to go up, and the asks have gone up, and the wishes turned into needs, and the wants have turned into needs. And I think perhaps
That's time.
we need to assess that.
Tabitha, what specific areas of the city budget are you proposing to cut?
I'm not proposing to cut any, but instead I would say that I think we could leverage our private and nonprofit counterparts in the city to help drive up the income coming into the city, as well as increasing the housing to increase the tax base here, and helping Jana in any way to bring in more businesses, specifically looking at that Walmart location. The more tax base, the more businesses we have here, the more taxes we can grab from them instead of our local residents.
Thank you. All right, next public question. How do we address aging infrastructure such as roads and water mains without raising taxes? Cale, do you want to start that one?
That's a good question. Roads and all the old water lines are definitely an issue. I would think we could see if we could find any grants and see if there's anything that we can pull from. You know, Ellsworth, I call it a gateway city. The traffic flow that comes from Bangor to Bar Harbor is, as you all know, is absolutely insane. It takes me, I work 5 minutes away, it takes me a half hour every day to get home. So much traffic flows through this town. Maybe we can come up with some way to, I don't know. I was thinking, I know we can't put a toll booth out there for Bar Harbor, but I don't know if there's some way we can make some type of income to going through the city, maybe some attraction that would help people maybe pour some finances into this for our roads, because our roads are very much needed to be done. Thank you.
Tabitha, how do we address aging infrastructure?
Again, I would try to leverage grants that might be available out there. I would also make sure that those grants were able to be implemented in a way by supporting our city staff and helping them to use that money, specifically on our worst problems first. It's a difficult question. They cost a lot of money. Everything in the construction world, those prices have all increased drastically. As someone who works in the construction field, there is really no way of keeping it down when the materials that you are purchasing are as high as they are. So really trying to find the funding outside of our city would be my solution there.
Steve, how do we address aging infrastructure?
In the 3 years that I've sat on the city council and gone through 3 budget processes, I have noticed that budgets seem to want to pay for everything in 1 year and send Mr. and Mrs. Ellsworth the bill. And I've also noticed that because of the aging infrastructure, we have a lot of Band-Aid surgeries going on around town. My thought is this: get our financial house in order so our bond rate borrowing is less, and stop trying to pay for infrastructure in 1 year that is a 10-year product. If you're buying a product that has a 10-year lifespan, then we need to borrow that money at a very favorable rate. Municipalities borrow money far less than the rest of us do. And we need to finance that over time, not longer, but not much shorter. If you have a 15-year lifespan of a road or a 10-year lifespan, we need to be paying for that over 10 years. Over the 10 years, we're going to have more people coming to help us pay. I think that's the key to the whole thing. Trying to pay for it in 1 year in your tax bill is not the answer. If it's a 1-year item, like payroll, certainly. But if it's a 15-year item, then perhaps we need to finance that at a very favorable interest rate over 10 years, so you're not suffering that big bill right up front.
Thank you. Rob, how do we address aging infrastructure?
Well, it comes down again to our tax base, and if we don't create more taxes, because there's obviously no money for the roads, so we have to come up with ways to come up with more money, or cut the budget we have to create that money. This is an idea that if you may not like, but the town of Bar Harbor, they put in parking meters. And I think that might be an idea, but I think the Ellsworth residents don't pay. But the tourists do. And you know, I don't know the number in Bar Harbor, but it's astronomical. It would pay for our road systems forever. But that's just one idea. And we're business people. I think we can put our brains together and find more money, because our roads are horrible, and it needs to be rectified.
John, how do we address aging infrastructure?
Cindy, was that question, how do you address aging infrastructure without increasing taxes?
That was the one.
Okay, I just want to make sure. I want to get back to the without increasing taxes, because we can do all this with watching the finances in the city of Ellsworth. As I said, already alluded to the last year's audited report. That's not the first year the audited report has come back that really basically said the people in charge don't know what to do with their finances. And that was in 2 separate counts on this audited statement. Just look on page 143 in the summary, and it'll tell you we have people running our city, other than Steve O'Halloran, that don't have a clue what our finances are. The way to take care of the infrastructure is a couple things. You do have to cut some people out of there. We have too many people employed. Our job is not to employ people, it's to make the city of Ellsworth productive and make it affordable for most people out there. So we need to reduce the size of the city government. We also need to sell off surplus properties here in the city of Ellsworth. Ellsworth has far too many properties that they shouldn't own. They should be sold from the city property, and some of them in the $1 million class. They should be put back on the tax rolls, which increases more tax revenue for us. And it also would give us cash so that we could afford to do some of the other things like that. Our roads need more money spent on it, a lot of it. If they sold off some of the properties, we've got a nice piece of property down here by the waterfront down there that supposedly is economic development. You know, that should be sold, put back on the tax roll, expensive piece of property in Ellsworth, and that money should be put into other things like roads here in the city of Ellsworth. The Moore Center, we shouldn't own the Moore Center. That should be put back on the market. It was a bad investment from a perspective. We spent tons of money on it like that, and we don't get any money back for it. So that's just another example of poor financial spending by the leaders in the city of Ellsworth. So I hope that we can get a handle on it. I hope I'm elected to the city council next year. I hope Steve O'Halloran goes back on. He's the only incumbent we have running like that, and if there's one person that deserves to be there, it's him. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the city need a recreation department to manage upkeep of facilities such as Knowlton Park? Rob, do you want to start that one?
I live right by Knowlton Park, and it seems to me that it's kept in very nice shape. You know, everything's functioning. I guess I have heard rumblings that the swing sets need a little work. So is the question, should we have another department to run that aspect of the town? I think I would say no. I would put that on the burden of some employee. I'd find somebody that's, you know, increase their workload. I don't know how many hours a week that would take. I mean, I could probably do that in a couple hours a week to delegate what needs to be done to keep that park, up to snuff and, the maintenance being taken care of. So I guess the question is, should we hire somebody for that position? I would say no.
Okay. Kale, does the city need a recreation department to manage upkeep of facilities such as Knowlton Park?
I believe so, yes. And I have said this in one of my questions before, because Parks and Rec Department is beyond Knowlton Park. It's the whole city of Ellsworth. It's everywhere you see. So it's going to be more than just a few hours a week. It's a 40-hour job, if not more, position. And by doing so, the beautification, and I have kids, so the playground is always broken. When it was brand new, it was immaculate, but the lack of care, and it's dangerous. So the little kids are playing more on the elderly equipment than their playground, because they go up to that part because our part is broken. And like I said, I believe if we have the department, I know creating a department creates more taxes, but I also believe that this department for Ellsworth is very important, because like I said, it's not just Knowlton Park. It's everywhere all around Ellsworth that we would see. So by doing so, you're creating more, not just beautification, but you're creating more opportunities for families and families to have fun, and that will draw more families to Ellsworth.
John, same question.
Could you repeat that, please?
I can. Does the city need a recreation department to manage upkeep of facilities such as Knowlton Park?
Yes, the city needs a recreation department, but I don't believe it needs all the personnel that I saw listed on the report I looked at this afternoon to manage it. Assuming there's 7 people on there, I believe, without, you have to look at it closer, I just glanced at it this afternoon, probably it's something that 5 or 6 people can do. So there's a way that we can cut expenses as a city and still provide the services that we need. We need to have services as our city. I'm not saying we don't have any services, but we need to be productive in the services we have. We need to be efficient, and we cannot increase our taxes. We need to have a spending freeze, a hiring freeze on any of these areas like that. They need to be held accountable, because we need to get our taxes down, need to reduce them. So we do need to have a department. It probably can be staffed with less people than it is right now. It still can accomplish the same thing. It's called being productive and efficient. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Steve, does the city need a recreation department?
My opinion is yes, it needs Parks and Recreation Department. I think On a side note of that, I think in the city of Ellsworth, we have the Public Works Department that's the catch-all department that anytime someone doesn't have anybody to do something, it goes to the Highway Department, Public Works Department. I think we could move some personnel around. I don't think we need to add 5 positions or 4 positions. We might be able to move some personnel around that would have an interest in doing that before we raced out and drove the payroll crazy. I think we missed an opportunity during COVID. There was $880,000 right there that could have gone into parks and recreations. It was money from our government, and I think we missed the opportunity. I wanted to return that money to the taxpayer, but I could not get traction on that at the city council level. I do think that Parks and Recreation is a big deal. I think we could be doing so much more with not a lot of extra cost involved. Is it going to increase? Yes. Does it need to increase? Yes. If you've got worn out playground equipment, then obviously we haven't been doing it right. And I think the youth in the city deserve a place like Ellsworth, and I think it's our responsibility to do it right.
Thank you. Tabitha, does the city need a recreation department?
Yes, and I actually advocated for that this budget season, which was my first time in front of City Council asking for a budget and advocating for a Parks and Recreation department. Right now, currently, the Recreation Commission, an all-volunteer commission, is in charge of the recreation part of our parks, and we can't expect an unpaid group of people to be managing recreation in our city. It's unfair to them, and they can't get the things done that our community needs to get done in the time that our community wants to see things done. On the other end, it's been the highway department that's had to pick up and budget for and pick up the maintenance slack in our parks and cemeteries, which really is the low end of their priorities there. And so our parks, trees, and cemeteries have really had a lot of lack of attention over the existence of Ellsworth. And right now we are allocating a lot of money to the YMCA to facilitate the recreation side of things, and they're doing a great job. However, moving towards a Parks and Recreation department would be a smart idea for the city. And with a Parks and Recreation department, there's also the opportunity to increase funding and bring money in through vendors and events. So I'll stick with what I allocated for this budget season and say absolutely, I think we need a Parks and Recreation department.
Thank you. This next question is about the school budget, and for a little scene setting, the school budget is first approved by the school board, then it goes to the council, and then it goes to voters. So I guess the short answer version of the question would be, what would your approach be to assessing the school budget? John, do you want to start that one?
Yeah, I was involved with a group that tried to stop approval of the school budget a couple, 3 years ago. And that was based on a couple items. I looked at the state scores for the City of Ellsworth school system, and they were dismal. They were very poor. Approximately 50%, I think it was. I'm going from memory back 2 or 3 years ago. And so it wasn't good. And so I'm opposed to spending more money for a poor product. And that appeared to me when we were turning out by the state's own records that the students graduating from the Ellsworth system weren't achieving the minimal amount of standards that the state was looking for like that. So to me, I was opposed to that. I think it should be based on amount of approval on how the kids are doing, how our students doing. Are we teaching them? Are we doing stuff? The curriculum needs to be very important. I also looked at just real quickly the amount of people that is on the school. I think it was approximately 525 people in the school department. That's a lot of people. And I didn't look at it like I did for the city, but I would look down through that, and I would be willing to wager money that we don't need 525 people to do the job we're doing there. So I don't think, I'm not looking to do welfare with any of our city agencies or our school agency. It's workfare. If we need a job done, we hire somebody to do the job. If we don't, we eliminate that position, or we don't increase it. We don't add assistants to it like that. We have to be frugal because we have to reduce the taxes here in the city of Ellsworth. And the school obviously is a major part of it. So we need to have a tight handle on that and watch that as well. Thank you very much.
Steve, your approach to the school budget.
I'd like to thank whoever developed that question and put me on the spot. I think this is an interesting one. Since I've been on the city council, and full disclosure, my wife works within the school department. So I have abstained from all school department budget votes. I have listened to them, but I have stayed out of the vote because I felt there was a conflict of interest, because somewhere in the weeds of that budget comes a paycheck to my household. Therefore, I have stayed away from it. However, I'm happy to answer the question. My true feeling about the school budget is, like all budgets, there's a lot of bloat in it. I think from the outside looking in, again, the outside looking in, I really think that we've got the dog and the tail mixed up here. We've got the tail wagging the dog. I'm not sure that to get an education, we need to go through all that they're going through to get there. I truly believe there's bloat there. I believe that that budget could come under control much easier than it is. However, again, I have not voted for or against because I have a conflict of interest.
Cale, your approach to the school budget.
I am obviously for school systems and better education, but I do believe the school budget is really high and could be lowered. And I would definitely look at the bloat, the fillers. What are the things that we could reduce a little bit? I don't want anybody to lose their jobs. That's not my heart. I want people to succeed and grow, and I never want anybody to lose their jobs. That's not my angle. But I definitely think the school budget is high, and it increases every year. And I think that is a big part of Ellsworth's taxes going up. And I definitely think we could look at it and see what the fillers are. What are the things that are maybe causing it to go high? But I do believe in education. I like Ellsworth school system, as that was a big part of why I brought my kids here. I had 2 graduate from Ellsworth, and I have 2 still in middle school. And I strongly believe in the teachers, and they're great teachers. I've not had any bad luck with teachers. They've all been great. So I support their pay, but is there things we can cut? Probably.
Tabitha, your approach to the school budget.
I have to be honest, I don't know much about our school budget. Budget season was a lot to sit through, and I only attended what I was interested in. But I would certainly dive into my ability to develop relationships with people, and I would want to reach out to admin, teachers, parents, and even the students to find out where we are lacking and where we are overspending. I would certainly look for creative solutions to fund needs that are underfunded and to cut in places where we're overspending. These kids are our future here in Ellsworth, and they deserve our support and whatever the budget is that they need in order to get a good education here in Ellsworth.
Rob, your approach to the school budget.
So this is the hardest question. Thank you, guys. Gave me a lot of extra material I can use. But I have a child that just graduated from Ellsworth. I have another one that is in Ellsworth now, and I have somebody else in my family who handles all the school stuff for me. So I don't have to deal with that. But it does seem like our school system, compared to just a few years ago, when I was in school. You know, they have every bell and whistle you could ever imagine, and I think it's great. You know, there's lots of opportunity for our kids to go many different directions with their education. And besides, we need to educate them so they can become good earners to pay the taxes to live in this town. So, like any, you know, school is a business too, because it takes money to run it. So I look forward to looking at the budget. If there's something that makes sense that is wasteful, then I might say we might want to look at this. But it is part of our living in a society. The school budget is a big part of our taxes, and it's just, you know, it's just like the air we breathe. It's nothing we can do about it, except look very closely at it.
And just for voter education, the council doesn't have line-by-line approval on the school budget, so if you wanted to get really in the weeds, though they go over it all together and it's a dynamic process, if you really want to dig into the line-by-line, that would be done at the school board level. All right, next question. How do you think a city councilor can help Ellsworth residents? Tabitha.
First and foremost, as a city councilor, you're here for the residents, we're your representatives. So the ability to have an open door or open phone and be a listening ear to our residents. We're here to also make sure that our spending is responsible, that we're looking really closely at everything that we're doing, and we're ensuring that what we do spend is going to be beneficial to everyone in the community. Where those are, I think I'm going to stick with there. But yeah, first and foremost, it's really listening to you guys and making sure that the issues that you're bringing forth are being addressed and you're at least being listened to, and I'll try my best to do that.
Kale, how do you think a city councilor can help Ellsworth residents?
I believe as a city councilor, we are here for you because we are elected by the people, and you are the people. We wouldn't be in that spot if it was not for you. So we would be very thankful. So yes, we would be by our email. We'll receive any questions and concerns, and with those questions and concerns, we will look deeply into those subjects for you. If we can have any answers, we'll relay them back to you. You know, we might not have all the answers, but we can be that middle person to try to get you information. You know, how things are run, how things go. You know, what's happening in certain areas. So basically, we're here for your concerns, and by doing so, we're basically an ear. And I'm a great listener. It's one of my strong attributes. And I listen very well, and I'm a very good communicator. So by doing so, I am here for you. I might not be able to help everything, but I'll be able to listen to everything.
John, how do you think a city councilor can help Ellsworth residents?
I believe a city councilor can help Ellsworth residents financially. I have pledged to vote no on any item that's brought up at the city council meeting that would increase any city property owners' property taxes. I think our residents are hurting financially. They're living paycheck to paycheck. I hear it all the time. My taxes are crazy. My own personal taxes in the last 4 years went up 52%. And I'm sure everybody's in that same type of thing. It's a huge increase. That was an average for me of 14% a year for the last 4 years. Everybody's taxes that I've talked to me anyway has been whining and griping, complaining, and want to do something about it. It takes tough decisions sometimes. I don't want to reduce a staff member from a department. But if we can do it and it's beneficial to the Ellsworth taxpayers, that's our job. We're stewards of the city of Ellsworth finances. It's not my money, it's the city's money. And I need to watch it as a steward, benefit the city taxpayers, and that's my goal. That's why I will confident, I will vote no. And I told someone, you don't have to wait till the next election if I get elected to get rid of me. Because if I vote on anything that increases your taxes, and I mistakenly do it, you bring it to my attention, I'll resign immediately on the spot. I'm dead serious about it. It's an economic situation we need to take care of here in the city of Ellsworth. So I want to support every city resident that's a property taxpayer, and I want to reduce your taxes, and I'm committed to do that. Thank you very much.
Rob, how do you think a city councilor can help Ellsworth residents?
Is anybody tired of talking about taxes? Well, you know, it's your money. And I hear people all the time say, well, that's federal money, or, well, that's state money, or that's city money. Well, none of that is true. It's all the people in the United States. It's our money. And I do believe, locally, state, federally, our money is not being spent the way I would spend it. I don't think it's as bad here in Ellsworth, but I want to look at our decisions like I'm spending your money and how the best way that is for you, the taxpayer. And I think it's really that simple. You know, we don't need always brand new things. Maybe we can fix a few things along the way. But I think it's your money, not the city's.
Steve, how can a counselor help residents?
I believe the best help we can give to a resident as a counselor is to field the question, return the calls, and set up meetings to learn about the situation. I think if we deliver value to Mr. and Mrs. Ellsworth, I think that's the best a council could do. However, there are many times as a counselor that your phone rings or emails or both. I like the phone. And one of the things that I have done as a counselor is when I've had a high bill complaint or a question or concern, I have set up a meeting with the department head and the city manager and the resident to be that ambassador to set everybody down at the same table. Some of them are very simple. Like, for example, I had a gentleman call me and said, you know, I go to city council meetings and I'd go to more if I could hear, but I can't hear what you people are saying. So I asked a few questions about that. Guess what? There was already there a PA system in city hall chambers or city council chambers. All they had to do was turn it on and everybody could hear. Little solutions like that, I think, is important. But the most important is to bring more people from the city to the table. The city manager, the department head, the resident, and yourself as a counselor. Sit down and let everybody hear the issues. Stop.
You beat me to it. All right. These are both variations on the same question, but what is the greatest untapped opportunity for Ellsworth in interacting new businesses or whatever good you can think of for Ellsworth? The greatest untapped opportunity for Ellsworth. Steve.
Could you say that again?
In your opinion, what's the greatest untapped opportunity for Ellsworth, business or otherwise?
The untapped opportunity, I believe, is streamlining the government process. Government works at the speed of a herd of turtles. And business and people's lives work at the speed of the second watch. And those don't go together well. You've got people's lives that are turning and fast and rolling every day, and you've got businesses that have to make decisions bang, bang, bang every day, and then you've got government that's going to look into it. I think that the streamlining of our government, regardless of the rest of the governments, of the city of Ellsworth's government, is the untapped potential. All we need to do is work at the speed of business, or at the speed of life, the speed of residents. In government, it's the speed of a herd of turtles. It's craziness. Do I have to stop? Okay. The other untapped opportunity is this. The City Council meets once a month, and there's so many special meetings and secret meetings and special meetings and emergency meetings and all of these meetings that are called. I think an untapped potential would be to make the council meet more often, maybe twice a month. I'd prefer once a week to solve some issues and
Now you
work
get there.
at the speed of stop.
Kale, in your opinion, what's the greatest untapped opportunity for Ellsworth, business or otherwise?
I believe Ellsworth could grow in potentially, and I've thought this for a long time, if we created a college town. And I believe if we could make Ellsworth a college town, we would produce more families in Ellsworth, more income in Ellsworth. I've always thought that we could have a small college, not night schools, an actual small community college. We could actually create a college town. And I think that would put Ellsworth a little bit bigger on the map. And I think that would be very helpful, and it would attract more people to Ellsworth and would create more revenue for Ellsworth. And then that would put Ellsworth at a little bit larger stand. An potential tap would be parking garage. I think we also need, because parking is key. You see Main Street and I love all those local businesses and I love all the mom and pop stores. Parking is an issue. And this would also create revenue if we had a parking garage, because it would be free. We'd have to charge to park the car. And people go into City Hall's parking lot and they park there for days sometimes, hours, days, because they meet up with people, they just leave their car there. That's taking up space for people. So I think a parking garage for Ellsworth would be untapped potential.
Rob, same question.
Sorry to be repetitive, but I think what exactly is the question?
In your opinion, what's the greatest untapped opportunity for Ellsworth, business or otherwise?
Yeah, that's what I thought. So Beckwith Hill, that's where Walmart and Home Depot is. All that land, I know you all drive by there, and you're not in real estate, and probably wonder why. Why doesn't anybody else come to this pasture and set up shop like Home Depot and Walmart? And it's because of the impact fees, which are obscene. So I think that is an untapped gold mine on the hill, that if we look at, doing that, structuring that differently and inviting people with open arms to come build their business on that hill, I think that is a huge potential and untapped, source of taxes to, offset your taxes.
John, same question.
Question, please.
In your opinion, what's the greatest untapped opportunity for Ellsworth, business or otherwise?
Ellsworth is a very unfriendly business community. I know different leaders in the community talk about how friendly it is, but in reality it isn't. Three people have mentioned tonight about the impact fees. Those should be done away with instantly. They're unfair to start with. They're only done on, I think it's from Cards Brook out as impact fees, and this side of Cards Brook they don't have any. So you're treating the businesses and the people unfairly in the city of Ellsworth. That hinders people from coming in here. Government regulations and government overreach is the biggest hindrance to development in the city of Ellsworth. And I propose we need to go back to a capitalistic, free enterprise society, less government, smaller government. Our Constitution and our founding fathers wanted limited government, to control government, to keep it off of our individual backs so we could do business, we could run our families, we could do things the way we should. Ellsworth's not in that situation. That's why I keep focusing on government. Government is the problem, not the solution here in the city of Ellsworth. It needs to be smaller, more efficient, more effective, and run like a business. And I mean that just being efficient. You don't treat people unequally, you get rid of the impact fees, you reduce the tax base, you increase the tax amount of people coming in, you'll have more income, but you have a smaller burden on the people that are already here right now. You'll have new businesses, new people coming in, paying new taxes, but those of us that are residents right now, our property taxes can stay the same or even go down any if you run a business that's profitable or a city that's profitable. So government's the problem, not the solution. Let's go with a limited government, let's cut it back, and let's get Ellsworth cooking like you can. Thank you very much.
Tabitha, same question.
I'm going to go back to building relationships and partnerships with volunteer groups, nonprofits, and private businesses. It wasn't until this past year that I felt that we got some traction with the city. There was a big resistance in tapping into our nonprofits and volunteer groups here in the city. I literally had begged a city manager once before to help in some of the urban forestry aspects of Ellsworth that I knew I could help in. So I'm so grateful that since then we have moved forward and our city council and our city government seems to be more willing. But if we utilize this community, we really can help to alleviate the workload of our existing staff, which frees them up to pursue new things like business and housing developments, to free them up and have them focus on the area like the Walmart and Home Depot area would be an incredible way to utilize their time while the nonprofits and private businesses work on smaller, lower hanging fruit that the city doesn't have to spend their time on. So I'd say tap into us. We want to help.
All right. We'll end on a hard-hitting question. What is your favorite Halloween candy? Kale.
Peanut butter cups.
You're so right.
Anything
Sold.
peanut butter.
Steve.
Who asks that question?
Me, it's quick. You don't need the 2 minutes.
I can't even tell you the name of it, but there was this old candy that was around and probably still is that I think is called Bit of Honey. Do I have that right? That's my favorite. So please, if I come to your house, have, what is it? Bit of Honey, right?
Bit of honey.
Okay, Bit of Honey.
All right, Tabitha.
To say the Reese's peanut butter cups, but maybe the smaller ones, not the bigger ones.
Rob.
I say my go-to is the M&M.
Classic. And John.
Well, Rob, you should have stood up, number one. But M&M peanuts I go with all the time, and come to my house anytime. I'll take care of you like that. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you all for coming this evening, and thank you to each of the 5 candidates for giving their time this evening and also doing all your homework. I can tell each of you did your homework. Just to remind everyone that the 2024 voting date is Tuesday, November 5th. I also want to ask each and one of you to please consider donating to Heart of Ellsworth on your way out. Please take any of our information that's on our table. We have a couple of different events that are coming up, and we really hope that you will consider supporting our nonprofit organization that partners with the City of Ellsworth to put on events and do initiatives in and around town. And also, I just want to let each of you know about the polling wards this year. We have Ellsworth polling places will be open, of course, on November 5th from 7 a.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. Ward 1 is City Hall on the 2nd floor in the auditorium. Ward 2 is 4 Old Mill Road, Your Place Community Center, which is the Ellsworth Falls area and Fletcher's Landing Township. Ward 3 is 867 Bangor Road, which is the Main Coast Baptist Church Gymnasium. That's North Ellsworth. And then Ward 4 is 1 City Hall Plaza, which is the 1st floor of Ellsworth City Council chambers. And that's Bridge Hill, west side of the Union River. And so please, we ask each of you to remember to vote only once. And everyone enjoy your evening, and thank you all for coming out. Have a good evening.